Greetings. Hope everyone is doing well. I wanted to come on here a few minutes and share some good information with you guys, the special needs families that are out there, my subscribers. Don't forget to like and to share and subscribe as well. I wanted to share with you guys a workshop that I attended on a Zoom meeting. And this was just a couple of days ago. Now, the workshop was titled Transition Planning and IEP Advocacy. So unfortunately, while I cannot link the workshop meeting itself, I can't link it in the description box below. I will give you some other information that may be helpful. Now, the reason for that is with the agency that was involved in the workshop, they want to be able to have contact information for you guys. And so I'm going to discuss a little bit more about that. However, in the workshop that was titled Transition Planning and the IEP Advocacy, when we talk about transition planning, we are talking about your young adult or child who is coming out of junior high school and now transitioning out into high school, or your young adult who's just finished high school and now is going out, and what are the plannings and the programmings and the services that are available for your individual after high school. And so, for example, myself, my son Jeremiah, he graduated with his IEP diploma out of high school. And so now I had to figure out what were the best options for him. I realized that he was not going to be able to go into a traditional college because of his disabilities. However, there are vocational training programs that they can make available to you guys, but they're not going to make those things available unless you research it and you do the work and you find out what are those things that are out there for you, such as through this agency that I'm going to share with you about. Now, this is called the transition planning. After high school, what is it that your son or daughter, what are they good at? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do you find that they find interesting? What is it that they enjoy the most of? And this even includes your children who may be nonverbal. They may be in a wheelchair. They may have multiple disabilities, but you'd be surprised. They'll tell you even with your eyes. What is it that they enjoy? You hold something in front of them and they focus on that. There it is. And so there are a lot of services and different programs. Your son may not fit, or your child may not fit the traditional work role that would be typical of an average young person. However, there are arts and crafts programming out there. There's musical programs out there. But we don't know these things until you get on that website, which I'm going to link it in the description box below. And so the website itself is called IncludeNYC. It's either .org or .com, but it's in the description box. Once you click on that, there's a plethora of information on there, ranging from special early intervention services of your toddler to a young adult. And regarding OPWDD services, once your son or daughter age out of school age, they will need OPWDD services as a young adult. Just like my son Jeremiah has those, he has services under that agency. And so once you go on this website, there's a helpline on there with a telephone number. Now, whether you decide to physically call that number or whether you go on the website and click on the helpline, the help link itself will pop up a short form where you're going to put your name, your email address, your contact information. Someone will call you to make a phone appointment. Now, why do I think that's a great idea? I loved that because when I call, the last thing I want is to have a list of questions and somebody is calling me, answering my questions in a very rushed, hasty manner. You can tell that they're doing other things, or they're just not wanting to spend all of that time on the phone with you at that particular moment. But if someone calls and reaches you and asks and gives you a phone appointment, that's way better. In this instance, you want to make sure that you have all of the questions that you're going to ask down, have a notepad, have a pen available, because those questions are going to flow. In this way, the person who has the phone appointment with you, they'll take their time. And from what I was sensing, these people are very pleasant, they're very helpful, and they are very informative. Now, on this website, I realized that it says Include NYC. Does not necessarily mean you have to be a resident of New York City or the state of New York. They deal with all 5 boroughs, including Upper New York State. However, if you are in the state of Iowa, that does not mean that you don't need to call and you feel this information does not apply to you. If you're in the state of Washington, we had they mentioned they had someone call from Puerto Rico and they received some information. And so, excuse me, it doesn't matter what state you're in. They have, not only do they have regional agencies, but they will also try to the best of their ability to network you with the agencies that are in your state. And so there can be any kind of questions that you may have concerning special needs, they will direct you. And so this is really, really important. I think was just such a great idea to be a part of this workshop. Now, this particular agency is not Include NYC, although they had invited Include NYC agency on their workshop. But this particular one is called Tri-County Care here in the Bronx, New York section. They have workshops once a month. And so even Include NYC, once you get on that website, they can direct you to workshops that they have. They also have parent support groups. Now, an example of a workshop that you might want to be a part of, I'll give you some examples. Guardianship and financial planning for your child. Once your child hits 18 years old, you want to make sure that you're doing guardianship for them. I did guardianship for Jeremiah. By the time he was 18, I was already his legal guardian. You go through the court system and you are able to make you're able to make a medical call. In other words, if something happens to your son or daughter, they cannot defend themselves. You will be the one to defend them, and you will give the yes or the no, or the do that, do this, give him that, don't give him that. This is what the importance of guardianship is for. You have a medical say into your child's life. The other thing is financial planning. Really important about that. It gives you some ideas just as a special needs parent, and also for their future. Also, how to prevent parent burnout. Preventing parent burnout, really important stuff. Self-direction and housing grants. Really important for the parents as well. Self-direction. This is really important because I understand as a parent, we want to protect and care for our children as long as we have breath in our beings. I get it. But I think there comes a point in time where they need to maybe sprout their own wings if they're able to. Now, for example, Jeremiah, he's in a residency. Jeremiah cannot be left to his own devices. But my youngest son, Elijah, I know that eventually Elijah, who's a little bit milder in the spectrum, he will be able to get a job. Elijah will be able to be travel trained. Elijah will be able to advocate more for himself because he's much more verbally speaking, although Jeremiah is very verbal now. But even with that, Jeremiah is a part of all of his meetings that we have with him. Jeremiah is a part of everything. He voices what he wants, what he dislikes, what he doesn't like. And guys, I realize some of you may have children that are nonverbal. Some of you may have young adults or children who are living their lives in a wheelchair for the most part. They are nonverbal. They need help for everything. They have multiple disabilities. However, If you call this helpline and ask those questions and say, how can my son or daughter have a better quality of life? How can they advocate for themselves when they have no speech? They will give you ideas such as a Dynavox, a speaking communication device. How can you go about getting something like that for your son or daughter that will give them visuals and help them to communicate their wants, their needs, what they like, what they dislike? Really important stuff. So, like I said, I'm going to link this in the description down below. And that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful for everyone. Have an awesome day.